Now, Canada's Conservative Prime Minister of almost 10 years, Stephen Harper, has lost the country's general election to his Liberal rival, Justin Trudeau. The final vote count isn't yet complete, but Mr Trudeau's party is widely forecast to have won 188 of the Ottawa Parliament's 338 seats. Well, journalist Barry Brown joins me now live from Toronto. Good morning to you, or I guess good evening. And what an evening it has been. Quite an exciting one in Canada.
Oh, it's been amazing, actually. There's been nothing like it in Canadian history to compare. Justin Trudeau took the Liberal Party from about, I think it was 38 seats in the House of Commons at about 20% of the popular vote or something along that line. Now, I think the latest I heard was that he had about almost 60% of the popular vote and nearly 190 seats. So it's been quite a remarkable night.
So guessing from the way you're talking, this came as quite a shock as well.
Oh, it came as particularly shock to everybody. I don't think there was nobody in the political punditry world, nobody among the political leaders, perhaps except Mr. Trudeau himself, could have possibly predicted that this was going on, and certainly they didn't. The Liberals started off in third place. Prime Minister Harper was expected to win. He had a huge war chest, I think of something like $25 million. He was running attack ads against Mr. Trudeau even before the election began. And it looked like the parties, the way they ended up, were really the reverse almost of the way that they started.
Right, so he had the money for his campaign. He had the history, 10 years. Why did people not go with him then? Were people disillusioned?
Well, there was a very strong anti-Harper vote. Prime Minister Harper has been extremely divisive. He's been very much in the kind of social conservative mode. The campaign, for example, he concentrated a lot on very divisive tactics with Muslims and painting the Liberals as tax and spend and reckless with drug laws because they want to, decriminalize and make, penalties lighter on marijuana and things of that sort. I think the public went out to actually listen to Mr. Trudeau, and I think, the credit to this man, the son of former Prime Minister Pierre Trudeau, going out there for, before the election and during the election, shaking hands and really trying to impress upon people that he was really his own man. He wasn't what he was being painted to be by Prime Minister Harper, and he was somebody different than his father as well. And I think Canadians really responded to the fact that he went out there, that he was listening, and they saw here was a man who would be a leader, open to change, open to new ideas, and not ideologically rigid like the Prime Minister we've had for 10 years.
So how do you think he's going to change politics in Canada then? What difference will he really make?
Well, that's always a good question, and we can only know once we see it, right? But I think from what he said, a lot of times, you see more ideological leaders of whatever stripe coming in and saying, we're going to stick it to the opposition. Whereas Mr. Trudeau has been making it clear all the way along the line that he wants to bring people together. He wants the Liberal Party to be very all-inclusive. And this is not actually a very far away dream. The Liberal Party was the most the federal Liberal Party in Canada was the most successful political party in the Western world for most of the 20th century because they won in Canada all the time. And the way they would do that was by listening to the public. And if the opposition came up with good ideas that were popular, well, they would take them on themselves. That's how they stayed.
That's all inside Canada. But what about outside? Do they differ much in terms of things like foreign policy?
Well, again, that's something that we're going to have to see. But one difference that I think has already been made clear is somewhat on the issues of security, which is in the sense that Mr. Harper has passed a lot of bills that are not only for national security, but have been widely criticized for invading on civil liberties, mass surveillance, the things we've talked about a lot in the world over the past many years. Mr. Trudeau wants to go back and look at the legislation from what he said and take away some of the more egregious elements that allow for, government surveillance without warrants and that sort of thing, while still not, putting the country at risk. In fact, it's sort of interesting. there was a race. One of the local riding races was between two former Toronto police chiefs, one a Conservative and one the Liberal. And the Liberal won, and so he may actually end up in a position of justice. Who knows? But he was saying that the Liberals plan a more sensible science and sort of medical approach to the thing rather than a war on drugs, which really hasn't worked, as everybody knows.
All right, Barry Brown there, 20 to midnight in Toronto, and I guess there will not be many people going to bed just yet, wanting to see how this finally ends. So thank you very much for your time. We'll leave it there, but we're going to keep across this story here on Sky News. Thank you very much, Barry.